Hello and welcome back for episode 5 of Following Freak Show, a show dedicated to discussing last night's episode of American Horror Story Freak Show. I'm your moderator, Perry Nemroff, and here are our panelists.
Hi, I'm Alexis Sarla.
Hi, I'm Meg Patterson.
Hi, I'm Sasha Capelli.
Alright, so in episode 5, Pink Cupcakes, Stanley comes up with a plan to kill some freaks so that he can get his own exhibit at the Morbidity Museum, and meanwhile, Gloria is busy covering up Dandy's mess from the last episode. But we're going to start things off with what Stanley is up to and what he's planning with Maggie. So, Meg, do you want to talk a little bit about those fantasy sequences?
Yeah, those really threw me off because I couldn't really tell at first what was going on. When they show him in the museum and like he's expecting his name to be called, it kind of almost seemed like it was real. And then all of a sudden, you know, Maggie's part of his fantasy, and then they're back in the tent and she's like, or clean up your stuff, clean up your magazines, you don't want anyone to know who you really are. So he kills the twins and then he has their heads in a thing, and, you know, who knows what's going on at that point. And I'm like, oh my gosh, he's actually going to kill him. And then they show them laying there with one of the heads dead, and I thought that part could have been real because she's foaming at the mouth. And then he doesn't actually kill them after all because we have to watch our figure. So those were brilliantly done, in my opinion, because you never really know what's real and what's, I called it an imagination sequence because it wasn't a dream sequence. So.
I'm not going to say that I knew that the first time it was coming, because when they were standing there, they didn't shoot it like a dream sequence, so I'm like, all right, this is real. The second they revealed Paul in the thing, though, I can't say I was shocked. It didn't hit me like I thought it should, but knowing that they're doing the fantasy thing, you would think that when the stuff started happening with Ben and Dot, I would have been like, oh, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, deep down, I knew it was bullshit, but watching her foam at the mouth, turn all green, and then Bet like stuck to her and crying, like, that really hurt.
It was terrifying.
Yeah, and it seemed almost more realistic because we were just talking about last week how hard it is to kind of physically separate them and like as opposed to emotionally separating them. So that basically did both. So I thought that was a really brilliant way.
There was a quick second where I really did think that was it, though. I thought that, you know, the show was going to, like, cause big time and just off right there.
Well, then I'm curious Maggie is going to have a part to play because she tried to warn Jimmy off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But
in a not so subtle way.
All right.
I thought the delivery in those lines, she could have been trying just a little harder.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a man coming and he's going to tell you things, but don't believe him and don't go with him.
Yeah,
You're a very bright future.
Last season, you know, she could have like so specific.
But I do like her. I mean, they built that up well, at least, where I'm caring about her and I'm caring about Jimmy as well. It's so nice to see him smile. Because, like, Evan Peters doesn't really smile all that much in any of these seasons.
No, I wish she would have kissed him.
Aww.
Yeah,
I want to keep him around.
Ugh, and then he moves over to Angela Bassett's character.
Yeah, Desiree, yeah.
I was not expecting that.
I think that was just, you know, they were sharing their grief, their moment, and he felt rejected by Maggie, so, you know.
Yeah, so we get to
I guess it was kind of desperate in a way that I understand, but I don't know, like, Kathy Bates is his mom, and then they... Actually, this is probably a good transition. Alexis, why don't you talk a little bit about what happened to Desiree in the episode, and maybe also a little bit about her relationship with Del and where that left off?
Right. Well, I really liked all the stuff that we saw about Desiree, and Kathy Bates also was such nice. She took her to the best doctor in the world for these freaks. It's like the kindest soul who told Angela Bassett's character that, you know, she is all woman. She actually was having a miscarriage, which I did wonder if it's Del's baby or if it's, you know, from that flashback we saw when she was, you know, hooking up with the guy that Del killed. You know, it just left a little mystery whose baby that might have been. But then apparently Kathy Bates tells her the whole truth about that the freak side is actually on Del's side, apparently. The freak gene or whatever. And so when Angela Bassett finally decides to, like, live her life, move on, then Del, of course, even though he's been you know, heading out on her at the gay bar, he decides he needs to be in control of her and goes. And that was the saddest scene when he broke the doctor's fingers. I knew it was coming, but I was like, why are you being an asshole?
Yeah. Like this character that's only had minutes of screen time, but I still feel so bad for him because he's like one of the only people that isn't part of the freak show that's actually on the freak side.
Yeah, he's accepting of them and makes them feel good about themselves.
Yeah. But now back to the main characters, I guess. I don't know about the whole transition between the doctor stuff and then that fight she has with Dell. At the end, it felt like a scene was missing.
Well, yeah, I guess the scene where Kathy Bates told her the truth.
It's like, maybe, obviously it would have been silly to have that and then have Angela Bassett dribble out all that exposition during the scene with Dell, but it's almost like I kind of wanted to see her reaction when she first found out, you know, Jimmy's my son, and, like, this is what, like, the guy you're married to is all about. I wanted to see her face and not necessarily what we got after. And also because, like, I'm starting to hate Dell.
Oh, he's awful.
Oh my god, he's the worst because he's like I mean, whatever. I guess it doesn't matter ultimately because the guy he was with is now slaughtered. But it was just kind of nice to see Dell be like, to show some emotion and kind of be like, this is who I really am. I'm a freak, you know, all that crap. And then he's like breaking the fingers off the one doctor that would probably be acceptable for the freaks to go to. So it's kind of like, dude, stop being such a douchebag. You know, just like get over your testosterone and
well, yeah, it's almost like if he's like, if I'm not happy, no one can be happy. Like,
it's not fair.
Or if he can't get rid of his own freakish nature, no one else is allowed to realize that they're not a freak, you know.
I want a better reason for it, though.
Yeah.
I don't know why. The freak gene is like in his lineage. That didn't really hit me too hard, and neither did the issue with his sexuality either.
Right.
I mean, I felt for him in that situation, but I actually wrote this in my review. It was more like pity versus sympathy.
Yeah, oh, totally.
You're gonna feel sorry for anyone who says like I love you and doesn't get it back, but I don't really care about Dell, and I think it's because they're not really justifying his bad attitude and his outbursts enough.
Yeah,
at all.
I agree.
And he's hurting everybody. I mean, that doctor scene like was almost. It's funny because I loved what comes later with Matt Bomber, but I was really like put off by the doctor finger breaking scene.
Yeah, no, I was too. I thought it was kind of a bummer, especially since the right. I guess that's they did it on purpose, like to show like, oh, Dell has emotion, but he cannot control his anger. But it only seems like he's a douchebag instead of he's like a hulky kind of guy. Like if he couldn't control his strongman gene or his freak gene and just like flipped him out that he found out that whatever Angela Bassett was a woman or something, like which is like. Whatever. So like it's just it all seems like unnecessary and a little like douchey instead of uncontrollably strong. And I want, you know, I can't help it, but I want to hurt these people.
Right.
So I don't know. He's like more of like an annoying.
That's a really good point. It's like if they were weaving his strongman quality into his behavior a little better, that could be like the backbone. All that stuff.
Now he just seems like a steroid word rager. You know?
Yeah, that's true.
All right, let's move on to Dandy, my favorite. Sasha, do you want to talk about what he's been busy doing?
It's funny because when the episode started, I was like, oh, Dandy, I'm so done with you. Because like he wasn't really doing anything that I was like going for. He was just kind of being a brat. But this episode was kind of cool because he did a few things that I liked. It started out with his mother finding, of course, the slaughtered body of Patti LaBelle that Dandy had created and was like, oh, sorry, my bad, somebody broke in. Ooh. And his mom was
of course she didn't believe him.
Yeah, she was like, I'm your mom. And she kind of explained a little bit why Dandy has these weird tendencies with the inbred thing, like we only breed inside of our family to keep this, that, and the third, and sometimes we get some psycho killers, and you're one of them. So I was okay with that. It wasn't a whole explanation, but it kind of does, like, it mutates your genes. That's just kind of science. So he has a mutated gene that makes him want to kill. Now the thing that interests me is that he actually wants to kill normal people, like normal people. So when Patti LaBelle is killed, he gets the urge to kill. He explains he doesn't feel anything. He just wants to act. So he goes out to the gay bar, and he definitely American Psycho's Dell's boyfriend. And the kills, that murder scene was pretty great. Like it was just, I mean, just in terms of how freaky it was. Like
it was, it
was a freak show. It was not. It was drawn out. It was gross. It was gory. It was like we were saying. What's his name did? The clown did in the first episode was like super, super gory. It kind of mirrored that. So I don't know. I was kind of impressed with how he doesn't want to kill the freaks, the ones who actually rejected him yet, sort of, and we see.
He did not want to be known as gay, so he definitely still was seeing that as a freakish quality.
For sure. I feel like that was his like acting. You know, like that was
one thing that did throw me off is that after that whole speech and his little workout session, like then he's like, okay, I'm gonna go to a gay bar.
Yeah.
It felt a little forced to get him in the same room as Dell and Matt Bomber, who his character was. That was another thing. I don't know if this is just me like clawing at clues that don't even exist, but like, why is his name Andy? Dandy Andy? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Wait, his real name's Andy?
Yeah, I'm kind of just picturing like Andy putting himself back together in a way, even though his like body was burned in acid, and going after Dandy in a way. Maybe even like being like the evil version, if that's even possible, or the good version. I don't know. It's some random thing. Now that they proved that the top hat on the coffee cup was not just some figment of my imagination. I'm like looking for clues all over.
I've been doing the same thing. I'm like, is that connected to this? That's connected to this, and blah blah blah. But I just like I didn't. I guess like the gay thing put me off. It did put me off at first because I was like, what is he gonna actually be a gay person? No, obviously not. But I just like in the previews how we find out that Elsa's taking. Well, at the end of the show, we find out that Elsa's taking the twins to him. It's interesting to me how he's just like, no, I'm not gonna hurt them because you'd think he'd want to. You'd think that would be the most fun toy ever, like a chick with two heads. So who wouldn't want to play with that? But he almost seems to have a respect for them because he's such an internal freak that he has some sort of empathy for them. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Like he comes home covered in blood, yet all bets are off when it comes to hurting a freak. You know.
Oh, that was a great shot too when he's just standing there dripping in it.
I was like, how far did he have to walk home all in his underwear?
In bright daylight.
His material with Gloria, his mother, Miss Mott, whatever her name is some of the most well-written stuff in the show. Because I mean, we talked about this a little before we started recording, but like. You can't go from a scene between Dandy and Gloria and then cut to that shitty phone call with Gallery Cinema. And I was so excited for her to make her cameo on the show when I saw her name in the opening credits. I'm like, yes, this is going to be awesome. And then she's just like engaging in like the most boring cliche phone call I've ever heard.
Yeah, it was like the end of the Three's Company when Suzanne Summers calls in and is like, "Hi, I am in another state, calling you from another place." Like I was, and you're right. Like the lines with Dandy and Gloria are so well written, and he actually, because I was starting to not like him as an actor for that character. But he kills it, literally kills it this episode. He's good. His facial expressions are subtle. Like, the murder scenes were super creepy. And then Gabriel Simondet calls, and just kind of like...
Just calling from Secretariat School in New York City, where I've been for the last... But it's like, we didn't have any of that. We could have learned that from context. We didn't.
It would have been much more interesting if she just came to the door out of nowhere, and Gloria's like, "Holy shit, what do I do now? Where's Mom?"
Right. Maybe she still will too.
I think she will.
I'm sure that'll happen, but like, it still renders the phone call useless.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Gloria's like, she can't call you. She is busy, and she's like, Gabriel Sidibe is just like, yeah, I don't believe that, but you're kind of freaking me out with your tone, so we gotta go.
Bye. The episode's over.
Yeah, it was that was like the weirdest part, and kind of it took me out a little bit. Like it did. I was just like, girl, what exactly are you doing?
All right, let's roll into rapid fire time now. The point in the show where we get to discuss what we're looking forward to most in the episode to come. And I think I'm going with Dandy on this one. I think I've said Dandy every single episode. Like, I'm obsessed with him. He never started a fall off my radar at all. He's always been a really interesting character to me, and I think every single episode they just add like a really new thoughtful layer that makes me look at him like not just some crazy killer, but he has such like a thoughtful process about it. And Sasha, you brought it up before, and I put it in my review. The stabbing scene, it really does mirror the scene from the first episode when Twisty kills the guy in the field, and it really does make you compare, like, only naturally how Dandy's behaving to how Twisty behaved, and it brings a lot out about just how much more thoughtful he is about it. And I feel like with Twisty, it was more of a means to an end, just to get something that he wanted. Whereas Dandy's savoring the moment, and I just find him endlessly interesting. But at the same time, you know, he's showing some restraint with certain people. So there's part of him that almost cares to a point. And like there was one line with him and Matt Bomber that got me. It's when he wasn't dying, and he's like, stop doing that, you're upsetting me.
Yeah.
I find it interesting that he cares on that level. So the more Dandy right now, the better for me. Meg, what are you looking forward to?
Stanley / Mr. Spencer and Maggie. I'm trying to figure out what their relationship is. Is that like father-daughter? Does she work for him? Is she motivated by money even though she likes Jimmy? They didn't explain it really, and it dawned on me last night, what is their deal? So I want to know how they're related. And then the music. I mean, I got to do music for shows for a bit, and they threw in David Bowie. We're just transcending across decades and like throwing in Fame, which was perfect. It was maybe a little contrived, but I loved it. So I kind of see what they do with the music in the next episode, too.
All right, Alexis, what do you got?
Well, I would like to see some sort of comeuppance for Del. Maybe Angela and Kathy are going to band together somehow and get some revenge there. I also wanted to mention that the great speech of Elsa about being so appalled that he only wanted her for television, and going on and on about how awful television is, well, of course, being on a television show. I thought that was funny. Also, I'm looking forward to the stuff that Ryan Murphy has been saying about how all the seasons are interconnected, and more clues about that. So we'll see what's to come there.
Sister Mary Eunice is coming in episode 10. I'm quite pumped. All right, Sasha, what do you got?
Well, I know that I've been like bitching about Elsa's character, and I still am a little bit, because I'm still not sold on her whole like half motherhead and half I'm gonna sell out all my freaks type thing. But I actually felt for her a little bit in this episode, a little tiny bit, when she sings her song and she realizes that, like, nobody gives a crap about her. And I thought for 1 second she'd whip off her legs just to, like, be like, look at me, look at me. So I'm kind of hoping that, like, if she gets whatever happens, she's going to go to desperation levels. Because she's very, like, tell me more about my eyes, you know? Like, she's withered, she's weathered, she's done. So the only thing she has left is to chop off those legs and be like, here I am, I'm a freak. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that we see her embrace her freak nature, let her freak flag fly, and like actually like be one of them. Like I would love to see her just kind of go into the world. So I want to see that happen. So I'm actually saying I'm looking forward to something with Elsa next week. Anything.
All right, so that is a wrap on Following Freak Show Episode 5. Don't forget to keep an eye out for new installments the day after every episode of American Horror Story airs on Collider and also on our YouTube channel, Shock Till You Drop. And we love reading your comments, so feel free to leave some in the comments section below, and maybe we'll discuss your topics and ideas on next week's show. So thank you so much for following Freak Show with us, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.